The global technology landscape is gripped by a critical standoff involving Nvidia, the world's most valuable corporation and the powerhouse behind modern AI. Despite its $5 trillion market capitalization and status as a symbol of American tech dominance, Nvidia faces a profound and fragile dependency on China. Over 90% of its critical components, including indispensable rare earth elements and metal alloys, originate from China's industrial base. This vulnerability has escalated into a direct geopolitical confrontation. Beijing is demanding that the U.S. lift export restrictions on advanced Nvidia chips, H200 and B100 series, destined for China, threatening retaliatory measures if the ban persists. China's leverage stems from its control over 70% of global rare earth mining and 80% of processing, materials essential for virtually all modern electronics, including Nvidia's GPUs. Washington is reportedly in crisis mode, with internal assessments suggesting a complete halt in Nvidia's production within 3 weeks if China cuts off material flow. This isn't merely a supply chain disruption, but a potential collapse of the entire AI industry, on which the U.S. economy increasingly relies. Despite public rhetoric of independence, the U.S. administration is reportedly preparing for a compromise, potentially allowing limited chip shipments to China via third countries, in exchange for continued rare earth supplies. This situation, termed technological blackmail, highlights a stark paradox. The world's largest economy is reliant on Chinese resources for its leading tech companies' survival. The outcome of these negotiations will dictate not only Nvidia's future, but the trajectory of the global AI market, making the company a central figure in a new Cold War for silicon and rare earth elements. China, meanwhile, is bolstering its domestic chip industry, aiming for technological sovereignty and signaling a long-term shift in the global balance of power. The extraordinary rise of Nvidia, now the most valuable company globally, and the engine of the AI revolution, has inadvertently exposed a profound and dangerous geopolitical vulnerability: its overwhelming dependence on China. With over 90% of its critical components, from rare earth elements to specialized alloys and substrates, sourced directly or indirectly from China, Nvidia's American dominance rests on a Chinese foundation. This dependency has transformed into a strategic weapon. Beijing, in response to U.S. export restrictions on Nvidia's cutting-edge H200 and B100 AI chips, has issued an ultimatum. China demands the ban be lifted, threatening to drastically limit its exports of rare earth minerals and other vital technological components to U.S. firms like Nvidia, Intel, and AMD. Given China's near monopoly on these essential materials, controlling 70% of mining and 80% of processing, this threat is a devastating silicon blackmail. The potential fallout is catastrophic. Washington is reportedly in a state of panic, with defense and security officials projecting a complete halt to Nvidia's production within 3 weeks if China enacts its proposed sanctions. Such a disruption would not just impact Nvidia, but could trigger a collapse across the entire global AI industry, crippling cloud services, autonomous vehicles, and military technologies that rely on these chips. Behind public displays of American industrial revival, the U.S. administration is reportedly negotiating a clandestine compromise. This rumored deal would allow Nvidia limited indirect shipments of its advanced chips to China, likely through intermediaries, in exchange for guaranteed rare earth supplies. This desperate maneuver underscores the depth of U.S. technological entanglement with China, effectively conceding to unprecedented leverage. As Nvidia's CEO navigates this high-stakes diplomatic and corporate challenge, the world watches. The fate of the AI boom, and indeed the global technological balance, now hinges on this tense negotiation.
China is simultaneously accelerating its push for technological self-sufficiency, using this confrontation to solidify its position and potentially usher in a new era where it dictates the terms of the global tech supply chain. This is not merely an economic dispute. It is a critical battle in the new Cold War for essential resources. Nvidia, the titan of the AI industry and the world's most valuable corporation with a staggering $5 trillion market cap, finds itself at the epicenter of an unprecedented geopolitical storm. While celebrated as a beacon of American technological prowess, the company's colossal success is built upon a precarious foundation, a deep reliance on China for over 90% of its critical components, from rare earth elements vital for semiconductors to specialized metal alloys. This hidden dependency has been thrust into the spotlight by China's aggressive response to U.S. export bans on Nvidia's most powerful AI chips, the H200 and B100 series. Beijing is now demanding a reconsideration of these restrictions, threatening to severely limit rare earth and component exports to U.S. tech giants, including Nvidia. The implications are dire for Nvidia, as China's near monopoly on these materials means an immediate cutoff could halt its production lines within weeks. The prospect of such a supply chain collapse has sent shockwaves through Washington and Silicon Valley. The AI industry, heavily reliant on Nvidia's GPUs, faces a potential domino effect that could cripple cloud services, AI model training, and a host of other critical technologies. Investors are bracing for impact, understanding that even a brief disruption could trigger an avalanche-like collapse across the global economy. Nvidia's leadership, including CEO Jensen Huang, is reportedly engaged in urgent, secretive negotiations with both the U.S. administration and Chinese representatives. The immediate goal is to secure a compromise, possibly involving indirect chip shipments to China to maintain the flow of essential rare earths. However, this predicament highlights Nvidia's unenviable position, a symbol of global technological leadership now held hostage by geopolitical forces, caught between two superpowers in a struggle for critical resources. The long-term outlook is equally challenging. While contingency plans for relocating production to other countries like India or Vietnam are being discussed, these require immense time and investment. Meanwhile, China is actively investing in its domestic chip industry to reduce its own reliance on foreign technology, positioning itself to fundamentally alter the global power balance. Nvidia's fate and, by extension, the future of the entire AI ecosystem now hangs precariously on the outcome of the silicon blackmail of the century.